Have you ever noticed that some people are surprisingly difficult to control? You can pressure them, confuse them, make them feel guilty, or even try to manipulate their emotions. But somehow, they still don't react the way you expect. They stay calm, they observe, and sometimes they simply walk away. These people aren't necessarily emotionless or cold. In many cases, they have learned something powerful about human behavior. Not every emotion deserves a reaction, and not every person deserves access to your mind. Psychology can help explain why emotionally intelligent and highly self-aware people are often much harder to manipulate. One of the easiest ways to manipulate someone is to trigger an emotional reaction before they have time to think. Anger, fear, guilt, jealousy, and insecurity can all make people act impulsively. Intelligent people tend to create a small space between what happens and how they respond. Instead of immediately defending themselves, they ask, "Why is this person trying to make me feel this way?" That simple question can completely change the situation. When you stop reacting automatically, someone else loses a major source of control over you. Manipulative people can be extremely convincing with words. They may promise to change, apologize repeatedly, or tell you exactly what you want to hear. But intelligent people pay attention to patterns. They don't judge someone only by what they say today. They look at what that person repeatedly does over time. If someone's words say, "I respect you," but their behavior constantly crosses your boundaries, the behavior becomes more important than the promise. Words can create an impression. Patterns reveal reality. Another reason intelligent people are difficult to manipulate is that they don't depend completely on other people's approval. If your self-worth depends on being liked, someone can control you simply by withdrawing attention. They can ignore you, criticize you, or threaten to leave. And suddenly you feel desperate to win them back. But when your sense of worth comes from within, those tactics become much less powerful. You can hear criticism without allowing it to define you. You can lose someone's approval without losing yourself. Manipulation often hides behind guilt. Someone might say, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me?" Or, "If you really cared about me, you would do this." Statements like these can make people feel responsible for another person's emotions. Intelligent people understand an important difference. Caring about someone does not mean being responsible for everything they feel. You can love someone and still say no. You can understand someone's pain without allowing their pain to become a weapon against you. Manipulation becomes easier when boundaries are unclear. If someone knows you'll always forgive them, always answer their messages, or always give them another chance, they may continue crossing the line. Emotionally mature people learn to communicate boundaries clearly. And more importantly, they follow through on those boundaries. They don't spend hours explaining why they deserve basic respect. Sometimes the strongest response isn't a long argument. It's simply changing your behavior and creating distance. A manipulator may try to create urgency. Decide right now. If you don't do this, I'm leaving. You have to prove that you care. Pressure makes people feel like they have no time to think. Intelligent people recognize that artificial urgency is often a warning sign. They slow down. They ask questions. They gather information before making important decisions. When someone is desperately trying to control the speed of your decision, taking a step back can give you your power back. Being intelligent doesn't mean believing you're always right. In fact, self-awareness often means questioning yourself. When something feels wrong, intelligent people don't automatically assume this person is evil. They also ask, "Am I misunderstanding the situation? What evidence do I actually have?" This ability to examine your own emotions makes manipulation harder because you're not blindly following either your feelings or someone else's story. You are looking for reality. Another powerful form of manipulation is making someone constantly question their own memory, judgment, or perception. A person may repeatedly deny things they clearly said or did, dismiss your feelings, or make you believe you're always the problem. Intelligent and self-aware people don't automatically accept that version of reality. They look for consistent evidence. They may write things down, remember specific events, talk to trusted people, or simply step back and observe the pattern. They understand that confusion itself can sometimes be a warning sign. This is one of the biggest differences. Manipulative people often want you trapped in endless arguments because arguments keep your attention on them. Intelligent people eventually realize that proving your point isn't always worth the emotional cost. Sometimes you can know the truth without convincing another person to accept it. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to respond to every accusation. And you certainly don't have to explain yourself to someone who has already decided to misunderstand you. Perhaps the strongest protection against manipulation is the ability to walk away. If someone knows you are terrified of losing them, they can use that fear against you. But when you understand that being alone is better than constantly being controlled, your decisions change. You stop tolerating disrespect simply because you're afraid of losing the relationship. You stop begging people to stay. And you stop sacrificing your peace just to keep someone else comfortable. Intelligent people can be kind, forgiving, and compassionate, but kindness doesn't mean unlimited access. You can forgive someone without trusting them again. You can understand someone's circumstances without accepting harmful behavior. You can give someone another chance while still having consequences. Real emotional strength isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming selective. You decide who deserves your trust, your time, your energy, and your attention. You cannot control another person's behavior. You cannot force someone to respect you, tell the truth, love you, or change. Trying to control those things often creates emotional exhaustion. Intelligent people focus on what they actually control: their response, their boundaries, their decisions, and where they place their attention. That shift is incredibly powerful. Instead of asking, how do I make this person change? They start asking, what should I do if this person never changes? When you become emotionally independent, manipulation loses much of its power. You don't need constant reassurance. You don't panic when someone becomes distant. You don't chase people who repeatedly disrespect you. And you don't allow someone else's mood to determine your entire day. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means your emotional stability no longer depends entirely on another person's behavior. You can care deeply while still remaining grounded. So what is the real reason intelligent people are hard to manipulate? It's not because they can read minds. It's not because they're always smarter than everyone around them. And it's certainly not because they never make mistakes. Their real strength is awareness. They notice patterns. They question their reactions. They recognize emotional pressure. And most importantly, they are willing to walk away when something repeatedly violates their values. The most powerful person in a manipulative situation isn't always the loudest person. Sometimes it's the person who stays calm enough to think, the person who doesn't react to every provocation, the person who can say no without feeling guilty, and the person who understands that losing someone's approval is not the same as losing their worth. So the next time someone tries to control your emotions, don't immediately fight back. Pause. Observe. Ask yourself what is really happening, and remember that you don't have to give everyone access to your mind. Because when you understand yourself, set healthy boundaries, and stop letting fear make your decisions, manipulation becomes much harder. You don't need to control other people. You just need to stop letting other people control you. If this video made you think differently about human behavior, tell us in the comments. Have you ever realized that someone was trying to manipulate you only after it was too late? And if you enjoyed this psychology lesson, subscribe to Veltrix Mind for more videos about human behavior, emotional intelligence, relationships, and the hidden psychology behind everyday life.